So I just want to warn you all that what I'm going to be talking about on today's show, which is Beyond Reason, of course, is I'm not recapping one of the episodes of House of Cards or Scandal or The Blacklist or something. No, this is real life. In fact, it's more Beyond Reason than those shows, I think. Every single day, it's just something new comes out that in this election season, it's amazing. You would think October surprises would be about over. There's only a couple days left in October, but I guess not. And you knew I had to come on the air again today on WFLA and talk about this stuff. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I am your host, Michael Yaffe, the voice of reason in a world that is Beyond Reason. We're here on WFLA and BeyondReasonRadio.com. If you miss any of the show, check out the podcast pretty much anywhere where podcasts are available. And we are on Facebook Live as well. And I'm joined once again, producing for me, Mr. Paul. How's it going, sir?
I'm doing okay. It's been a very exciting day today.
Yeah, I took a nap today, minding my own business, taking a nap, no big deal. And then I wake up from a nap. And this always happens to me. I wake up from a nap. I get a bunch of emails. I have a bunch of news alerts. I have all of this stuff showing the latest with Hillary Clinton. And it's something that I would not have been able to predict. The FBI found some more emails that seem to be a little incriminating of Hillary. Basically, they found emails in the Anthony Weiner sexting case. And it's just, and Trump's capitalizing on it. And of course, surprise, surprise, on Twitter today, Hillary Clinton tweeted and promoted the idea of voting early. Vote early. You can vote early. Do it. Gee, what a shock. So let's update the latest on this. I have a news report from Fox News and Jared Halpern updating exactly what has happened today. Play that audio for me, Paul.
In a letter to key congressional committee chiefs, FBI Director James Comey says investigators are reviewing emails apparently related to the earlier investigation into Hillary Clinton's personal server to determine if they contain classified information and what significance they may hold. The New York Times is reporting, and Fox News has confirmed those emails were found as the FBI was investigating former Congressman Anthony Weiner, who is suspected of sending sexual messages to an underage girl. Weiner is separated from his wife, Uma Abedin, a top aide to Hillary Clinton. Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, says it's extraordinary we would see something like this just 11 days from a presidential election. He's calling for the FBI to immediately provide full details about what it's examining. In Washington.
So, there you have it. They were investigating Anthony Weiner and all the sexting crazy nonsense. And his wife, Uma Abedin, apparently had some emails that were incriminating of Hillary Clinton.
Wasn't the Anthony Weiner thing like 9 years ago? Like, how long ago was that? Like,
well, there was one thing that happened like a month ago.
Oh, that's
with
right.
the kid and with the young person.
Yeah.
So that's what opened that investigation. But you're right, there was a lot of things that were like 9 years ago. But so they opened this investigation. Don't forget that WikiLeaks also released something yesterday that one of Bill Clinton's aides saying he made Bill Clinton, President Clinton, tons of money through the Clinton Foundation, made him rich. Very incriminating evidence there. And there's just so much here. And the corruption is, it's beyond reason. And Donald Trump, of course, today, I have a little montage here we're going to play of his comments. He, of course, used this opportunity to try to up his campaign. This is what he said today.
Repealing Obamacare is one of the single most important reasons we must win on November 8th. But real change also means getting rid of the corruption in Washington. And again, maybe that's happening. Wow. The rest of my speech is going to be so boring. Should I even make the speech? I have great respect for the FBI for righting this wrong. The American people fully understand her corruption, and we hope all justice will finally be served.
407-916-5400. You can also text to 23680. So the question is, of course, will this make a difference? Will this make a difference? All of this stuff should have made a difference already for the past year, but of course our candidate is Donald Trump. So that definitely changed things. Do we honestly think if it was Rubio or Ted Cruz or Rand Paul running against Hillary right now, that this would even be a close race? Just pointing that out there. I know all the Trump haters are going to come after me like they did this morning. But and by the way, Paul, I got an email from Bud.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And this is also something you guys can comment on. He emails me and he says, "This is a big I told you so." Of course, I should do that in Bud's voice. Let me try. "This is a big I told you so. Early voting is bad. Look at this. Hillary's email scandal, this big breakthrough, the FBI now investigating her again. This proves early voting is wrong because something can happen in the 2 weeks."
Why? I don't understand why somebody would be so against early voting.
Well, and I've noticed this with the older generation.
Yes.
They, at least what Bud says, and I understand it, he thinks voting is such a high responsibility that you should take it so seriously that if you can't vote on the day, if you can't make a way to vote on that day, then you're not taking it seriously enough.
That's not realistic, though.
Well, and that's the thing with me. You know, we have Mike, who produces the show for me on occasion and call screens for Bud's show. He has to work all day that day.
Yeah.
You know, and
they're supposed to give you time off for work to go and vote, and that's, the law, and that's true. But depending on where you work, based off of where you live, you know what I'm saying? That's like sometimes it can be a 3-hour trip, depending on how long the line is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not realistic. It's not like it used to be. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
Times aren't like they used to be.
Right. With work schedules and everything. And by the way, Mike is going to be calling in at the 8 o'clock hour because he was at the Obama rally at UCF. So he's probably still stuck in traffic. I mean, he will still be stuck in traffic an hour from now at UCF and will be able to talk to us.
Has Obama thrown his hat in for the race yet?
I'm pretty sure that's not allowed. Just saying. But I really do believe that the reason why they're having Obama do all these rallies, especially at college campuses, is because they're worried about turnout.
Oh,
they're trying to push vote. You keep saying you gotta vote. They're worried about turnout because excitement for Hillary isn't there.
Yeah, that's why they want you to vote now. Go ahead and vote now so you don't forget to vote.
Exactly.
Get it out of the way so it doesn't become a problem.
They want all those people at the rally to go vote now. I think the polls are probably closed right now, but vote right now. Leave the rally and vote.
Yeah.
Like I said, Hillary Clinton's Twitter today. Vote early. Of course she wants you to vote early because there's new scandal. No, vote before you learn about it.
I just hope, and this is not because I think Donald Trump would make a good president or because I would like to see him win this election, but I just hope he can keep his mouth closed for the next 48 hours.
Oh,
no
Trump?
3 a.m. tweeting. No crazy. Just keep your mouth shut for 48 hours.
If he's smart,
let this thing come into Monday and hit the Monday news cycle without you doing something to mess it all up.
Yeah. By the way, Chris Wallace, I'm going to have you play this audio for me in a sec, Paul. Chris Wallace came out today, and he made some interesting comments as well about this investigation. And he thinks it's pretty serious. So we'll see if you agree or disagree. This is what Chris Wallace said today.
James Comey did not want to reopen this investigation. A month ago, he was asked by a Republican congressman on the House Judiciary Committee about all the information that had come up since he closed the investigation in July and say, well, why don't you reopen it? He said, that doesn't come even close to reopening the investigation. So for him to do that now, just 11 days before the election, and I promise you he can read the calendar just like all the rest of us, this has to be substantial. Not saying that it's going to put it over the edge and result in a criminal case against Hillary Clinton, but this has to be substantial enough, and you know he didn't want to do this, that he had to, in effect, eat his words, go back to these committees, and announce this investigation fully aware of the bombshell effect this is going to have on the final week and a half of this campaign.
By the way, I just got a text that came in that says what's going on is the FBI has figured out that Trump is going to win, and they don't want to get caught with their pants down.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is.
I'm not sure that's a little wishful thinking. I'm not sure that's what it is. By the way, we're getting comments. We're getting comments on Facebook Live. You can listen on Facebook Live, just like Beyond Reason Radio on Facebook, and you'll find the video. It's on WFLA Orlando as well, and my personal page. You can friend me on Facebook, by the way, Michael Yaffe. That's fine. I don't care. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Beyond Reason R. And we're getting calls. Getting a whole bunch of stuff. I knew this was gonna get interest of people. Doesn't make a difference though. Doesn't make a difference. So we're getting comments. Let's take a call here real quick. Zach in Orlando, you're on Beyond Reason Radio. Is this not Beyond Reason?
I'll tell you what. I
Yes.
think that what's going on here, I think this is a smokescreen that Comey released this now. He's right in with the Democrats. That he released this to take everybody's eye off the WikiLeaks. That Hillary was getting crushed. Her polls were all going down because everybody was talking about the WikiLeaks. Now he shifts to this, and then
But how does this
everybody's
help
off the
that?
WikiLeaks.
Well, I mean,
What's that?
that's very cynical, and maybe I don't know, maybe it's true. But how does this help that?
Well, it takes everybody's eye off the WikiLeaks. I mean, what she said.
But isn't this
whatever's in
kind of
these
just as
emails
bad?
is gonna- no, I don't think it's just as bad. When you have Hillary in a WikiLeaks saying that she believes in open borders for everybody, I mean, that's as bad as it gets. And no one's talking about that. And now, right when they start to talk about it, the news, everybody's pushing this. Why aren't you pushing the WikiLeaks? Why aren't you talking about this? Then this comes out, and everybody goes, oh, we're back to the emails. It's just the Republicans. We've already went through this. It turns everybody off. So I don't think it's as bad as the WikiLeaks, the paid speeches, pay for play. That's far worse than whatever is going to come out of this email, which is probably nothing.
See, I think this is a lot worse. I think it's a lot worse because, number one, people who are supporting Hillary Clinton when she says, I wasn't talking about open borders for immigration, I was talking about energy trade. They say, oh, okay, she was talking about energy trade. Wait,
they just really believe that?
Yeah, absolutely they do.
Geez.
Absolutely they do.
You're just talking about?
What do you guys
Come
think is
on.
gonna
And
be
then
in the email?
when the reports come out and says that, oh, the words pay for play were used in this context, it wasn't necessarily directed at Hillary Clinton. People who support her go, oh, well, there's the answer
people
for that too.
support her, yeah.
So, I mean,
Zach, thank you for your call so much.
I think this is way worse than anything WikiLeaks has dropped so far.
Here is what's going to happen, though. One thing this does do, if Hillary Clinton wins, this will give the Republicans a ton of ammunition to basically block anything she wants to do.
Yeah, they will.
And in fact, if this gets even worse, you're going to have impeachment talk.
Yep. You're going to have impeachment talk anyway.
Yes, there's already talk about it. But this gives the Republicans a ton of ammunition for a gridlock in Washington.
If they could pre-peach her, they would do that right now.
Ooh, pre-peach. I've never heard. I like that. Pre-peach. Let's pre-peach Hillary Clinton. I am all for that. By the way, there could be gridlock out of this, and I'm all for that too. Everyone hates gridlock. I'm all for gridlock. That's the government taking away less of our money and our liberty when they're not doing as much, because usually that's what they do when they get together. This is Beyond Reason Radio. We're going to take your calls, comments, and text. Coming up next.
You want to listen to Beyond Reason Radio live on your smartphone? Download the Beyond Reason Radio app now. Available in the Google Play or Apple App Stores. If you miss any of the show, you can download the Beyond Reason podcast on iTunes. Now, back to Beyond Reason Radio.
Yes, this is the voice of reason in a world that is beyond reason. So join us. Join the movement of Orlando's Smart Talk Radio. So we're talking about the Hillary Clinton The FBI has reopened the probe into her emails. Frankly, it's big news. We played audio from Chris Wallace. We played audio from Trump. And don't forget, this is in combination with a lot of other stuff, including some stuff with the Clinton Foundation. And Paul, I was wondering if you could get that Chuck Todd audio ready. We played this in the morning show, but I want to play this again here because I think what he said, this is Chuck Todd. This is Meet the Press guy. This is not big Republican guy. He said some pretty interesting comments about the Clinton Foundation. This coming from him, to me, is a big deal. This is what he said.
There is no way on any circumstance that the Clinton Foundation should be operating if she becomes president. I don't see how they keep that going.
That's Chuck Todd saying there's no way that they could keep this operating. When you're saying that, you're admitting there's corruption there.
They should be closing down right now.
Yeah, yes. If Chuck Todd says that, it should be shut down, pre-peached.
Yeah.
I just like that term a lot. So, but that's a big deal. So you have all this revelations with the Clinton Foundation. You have new revelations with the emails. And you have Hillary Clinton tweeting out today to vote early. You think it? And Obama was in Orlando. Vote
now.
Vote.
We got polls right on the hallway. Go vote in those polls.
Yeah,
there in the hallway.
Porta polls.
Yeah,
that's what they're
going to have. We got some
polls
out there on the bus. Bring those polls out, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, don't give them any ideas. So I'm getting some comments on Facebook Live. You can watch us on Facebook Live at Beyond Reason Radio or at WFLA Orlando as well. One person. Mark commented, "Hey, Michael, the FBI's announcement is suspiciously timed to coincide with the start of your show. Is there some collusion between you and Director Comey?" Well, I'm not saying that's true, but I'm not saying it either. Huh? I'm just glad you all think I have that much influence in terms of inside politics. Yeah, that would be cool. So we're getting some comments, Paul, on Facebook Live as well. And one person, Bobby, who is a Hillary Clinton fan but listening to me. That's beyond reason. That's what I like, though. Says, the new Hillary news had no effect on my choice. Says, I was not going to vote for Hillary regardless. Oh, so he is a Hillary fan. He's not a Hillary fan. I thought. I said earlier. I misread it. I'm sorry.
Look at you.
I was all excited.
Now you're ready to be a politician.
I was all excited that a Hillary fan was listening.
You officially misread something. That means you can run for office.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I apologize. I misspoke. It was locker room talk. So we have another comment from Pat who said Hillary for prison 2016. And Trump is going to clean house at the DOJ, FBI, and State Department.
So we do all know she's not going to prison, right?
What?
We all know she's not going to prison,
Don't
right?
burst my bubble, Paul. The FBI's reopening the case. Why do you got to do that?
Okay. All right.
You don't think it's so? What's going to happen? What's your prediction then?
I mean, if they bring up some form of charges against her, I think it's going to play out in tons and tons of hearings and lots of litigation, and I'm pretty positive it'll be settled. Yeah,
well, that's a good point. They probably would just settle. Yeah. You know, they got all that money sitting there.
Exactly.
In the Clinton Foundation. So
I mean, if Wall Street tycoons aren't going to jail, Hillary Clinton's definitely not going to jail.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point too. Trump did say if he went to appoint a special prosecutor, we'll see what happens with that. There's just this is so much going on. And by the way, I was afraid to mention this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. This kind of stuff, it's going to go on for the next 10 years. And I'll tell you why. There is a book I read recently that I was afraid to mention because I first heard about it on Glenn Beck. Okay.
Look, see, what are you doing?
So
you know you can't say those two words.
So that means anyone who's a liberal will turn me off. Oh, Glenn Beck had it. It's terrible. And that means all the Trump supporters will turn me off. Oh, I can't even listen now because you're referencing Glenn Beck. Forget who introduced it to me, okay? Forget that. It came out in 2012, long before Beck ever talked about it. I also guarantee you that campaign managers, advertising execs, big CEOs, politicians have all read this book. I guarantee it because I see things that are directly out of this book. Now, that book is Pendulum by Roy Williams and Michael Drew. And it talks about how our society, and this has been in Western civilization for thousands of years, goes in cycles. It goes through a complete pendulum cycle over 80 years, but it's basically 40 years is one way in the pendulum, and 40 years is the other way. Once you understand that, you understand pretty much everything, well, not everything, but almost everything that's going on with politics and our culture and business and social media and all of it. It will make so much sense to you. It will. And so I think I need to explain this because it will help predict what's going to happen next. And it's not necessarily good, unfortunately. In the short run. In the long run, it will get better. It always does. So there are 3 books outside of the Bible. You should all read the Bible all the time. I mean, that doesn't count. But there are 3 books I always encourage my listeners here to read. That's Extortion by Peter Schweizer, What's So Great About America by Dinesh D'Souza, and now I have a 3rd one, Pendulum. And actually, I would listen to the audiobook. So I want to explain more about this because it's incredibly important and explains exactly where we are. And I know Glenn Beck's explained it on his show, which we play in the station, but I think I'm going to do a better job of explaining exactly what's going on. By the way, there's a lot more to talk about. I have a ton of Obamacare stuff that we have to get to, a ton of Obamacare stuff. And I have some interesting comments from Obama talking about his wife, Michelle. And we're going to have Mr. Michael Formisano, who produces the show sometimes as well. He's going to call in, and he was at the Obama rally, so we're going to talk about that as well. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. We'll be right back.
Download the iHeartRadio app and catch the Beyond Reason Radio podcast. If you like Beyond Reason Radio, well, make sure to show it by liking the Facebook page at facebook.com/Beyond Reason Radio.
Yes, this is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. Make sure to check out the podcast anywhere podcasts are available. Some things I'm going to get to later in the show as well. Got Obamacare stuff. Also, Trump unveiled a new infrastructure plan, which is very, very interesting. I'll say first off, it's not as bad as Hillary's plan. And it's not as bad as I thought it would be. But there are some things in there, some sneaky little things in there that I really have a problem with.
Bitty, bitty, bitty sneaky.
Yes, exactly. And the biggest thing I have a problem with is I don't think the infrastructure is crumbling. Like they said it. We get the infrastructure is crumbling.
It's crumbling all around us.
I'm afraid to drive home.
You
because
should
the
be.
Infrastructure is crumbling.
You should be afraid to drive. You should be afraid to walk in an airport,
exactly.
to take a train, to get on a plane, to ride a bus. You should be petrified.
Apparently, I should be.
And don't even start thinking about crossing a bridge.
Exactly. And I've actually had put out facts on this show and on the morning show before saying that a lot of that's not true. It's BS. It's hype. It's an excuse for the government to spend more money. And it's the easiest way to say you're going to create jobs. The whole shovel-ready jobs, it's an easy way to say, look, I can create jobs. We'll just build stuff. That'll create jobs. It doesn't help the economy as a whole, really. But it's like, look, I'm putting people to work. FDR did it. It's just an easy way. And plus, when you actually build a bridge or something, you can stand in front of it. It's a usual politics.
Yeah.
You can stand in front of the bridge and say, look what I built, vote for me.
Yep.
And I see right through it every time.
Through the bridge?
Through the bridge, too. Well, the bridge is crumbling, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why you can see through it.
So, but I want to talk a little bit more about what I left off in the last segment, because I actually listened to the audiobook Pendulum, and I would encourage you to do that. What it talks about and explains, so my eyes were open, my brain like exploded. So much made sense after reading this book. Forget that Glenn Beck was the one who introduced me, okay? I'm going to explain why this book and why what it's talking about will explain a lot. What it talks about is that our societies and our generations go through cycles, a pendulum. You have what's called the me cycle, when the pendulum swings one way, and then you have the middle of that, and then the downswing of the me, and then you have the upswing of the we cycle and the we generation, and then the downswing of the we, and then it goes back to the upswing of the me, and he details how this has been happening for thousands of years in Western civilization. Let me explain to you what each of those means real quick. In the me cycle, the generation focuses on the individual, focuses on how you're unique, focuses on live life to the fullest, focuses on you are unique. This is how you feel on the inside. You can do anything. The start of the me cycle recently was 1963, and then that reached its zenith in 1983, and then started to downswing and ended 2003. 2003 was the start of the we cycle. The we cycle is more focused on the community. It's not about, and don't get caught up in right or left here, because depending on what issue, it can be different.
Everybody does it, right and left.
Yeah, exactly. The we cycle, you focus more on what's best for the community. You're not focused on who you are as an individual, but how you connect to others. Other things about the we cycle. The me cycle is very optimistic, very idealistic. The we cycle, now we're in the we cycle right now, and millennials are we. They're the we generation. The we cycle and we generation, they look at things more realistic. They want things simple. They don't buy into hype. They tend to be more cynical and sarcastic than idealistic. And they just want to, get things done. And they believe more about what's right more than what's best for you. So when you understand that, it explains so much of what we're in right now. Because during a we cycle, and what always happens as well on both sides is we take it too far. Individualism can be good. It can encourage innovation. It can encourage to do your best. But we take it too far and you get selfishness, you get addiction, and you get a hollow existence. You realize that you're still a part of a community, and that's a big thing. So it starts to swing the other way. This happens in everything, music, politics, everything. In the we cycle, which is what we're in right now.
Well, give an example of the me. Because one of the examples you gave was Michael Jordan.
Yes.
And sports back in the day.
Sports is a great example. Now, Michael Jordan was in the downswing of the me. But in sports, the best examples are sports and music. But in sports, Michael Jordan was the pinnacle of me. Because it was all about him as the individual. It was all about being the best he was as an athlete. You look at sports, that's what was happening in the NBA.
So at that point in time, it was about individual sports icons. So it was about the Dan Marinos, the Terry Bradshaws, the Michael Jordans, the Wilt Chamberlains.
Yes. Now, notice what has happened. Who are the best teams in the NBA from 2003 to now? The Detroit Pistons, the Spurs, the Heat, the Celtics, and now the Warriors. What defines all of those teams?
They all came together as a collective.
You're exactly right. The Celtics were a great example. You had the three stars, instead of being their individual stars on their own team, came to one team, came together as a collective. This happens in movies as well. Look at movies. Back In the me cycle, when it's individual optimism, everyone's great, as an individual, look at what Batman was like back then.
Yep.
Batman was fun. It was optimistic. It was idealistic. You didn't see the grittiness of it. Look at Batman, the latest Christopher Nolan Batman series. In the we cycle, it was gritty. It was realistic.
Yep.
It was dirty. It was cynical.
And a collection of a bunch of stars.
Well, you look at the movies in the past since 2003. The Avengers, all about the collective, not about the individual. You have the Justice League coming out, and you'll notice even in, not a collection of stars too. Even in the Batman movie, what did he do? This is perfect. This always happens in a we cycle. Batman sacrificed himself for the better of the community. In The Dark Knight, at the end, he took the blame for killing Harvey Dent, if you've seen that movie, and he became the villain because that was what is best for the community. It wasn't about what was best for him personally, it was about what was best for him as a community. Also, remember the part when the boats could have blown each other up, he said they're not going to do that because they were going to sacrifice themselves for what's best for the community. So you have realism, you have the collective, all of this stuff. What always happens, though, in a we cycle, which what we're in, and it's going to happen until 2023, is it gets to the point where if you do not fall in line with what the group thinks, you are seen as evil, you are seen as bad, and you are silenced. Does that not explain our political season this year better than anything? As we approach 2023, unfortunately, that's going to happen more. And it's happening on both sides. With Trump, if you are not a full-throated Trump supporter, if you are not on his side, you are silenced. You are personally attacked. You are a traitor to the country. I've been called all these things. It's the same thing with the Democrats. Also, why is Trump popular? It always happens in a we. Because he is seen as not a politician. He is seen as more genuine. He is seen as someone who says it like it is. Always happens in a we. In a me, you have the idealism. You have JFK. You have Ronald Reagan. They're idealistic. We're going to go to the moon. Trump, and now you have things, we're going to clean up Washington. We're going to do what's best for the community. Notice Hillary Clinton's campaign slogan right now. What is it? Stronger together. It's all done on purpose. Who were the biggest, and this is especially true with the we generation and millennials, who were the two biggest politicians to millennials since 2003? On the right, it was Ron Paul. Ron Paul, he's not a polished politician. He's realistic. He wants to, revolution was his slogan. Love. He wants to do what's best for the community. On the left, who was the most popular among young people, who are the we generation? Bernie Sanders. Why? Because he seems genuine. He seems realistic, and he's all about helping the community. It explains so much when you think about it. Look at logos right now, business logos. Look at Pepsi or Apple or Google, anything. The logos are simple. They're about community. It's about realism. Look at slogans. During the me generation, the Army. Be all you can be. Then the Army changed to an army of one. What happened? They did that during a we cycle. It didn't work. Recruitment went down. So what did they change it to now? Army strong. All about being a part. And you listen to any ads with the Army, and they will tell you, you're part of the community. Be a part of something great. It explains social media. Social media is not about promoting yourself, but it's about connecting to others. Why am I pointing all this out to you?
Yeah, why are you pointing all this out to me?
Other than just to educate you, because it's very, very interesting. Because in the next 10 years, during the we cycle, we are going to come to a time where we're not going to listen to each other. where if you're not a part of a certain group, and this is happening now, you're going to be ostracized, you're going to be yelled at, you're going to not get it, so far and so forth. Look at it happens with Black Lives Matter, happens with Occupy Wall Street. Now it's happening with Trump supporters. It happened with Bernie Sanders supporters. All about being a part of a group. What we need to do, what this show will be about through all of that. This will be the show, like I've said before, where you will get the voice of reason through all of that. Not only that, but if conservatives want to win, they can't be like what Ronald Reagan was, because Reagan was a part of the me. They have to be a part of the we. That means they have to focus on joining together to save the Constitution. We, the people, by the way, the revolutionary generation, that was a we generation, coming together to stop the government because we can work together as a country without the government infringing on us. If you understand all that, and trust me, these campaigns, they get it. That's why Rubio, I thought Rubio was going to win because he sounded like Reagan. That's why Rubio lost. Because Rubio was part of the me. He was a part of the 21st, the next America, 21st century America, Great Hope, all that stuff. That's a me generation thing. If he wants to win, he has to be realistic. He has to say, we the people, united under the Constitution, then we can win. But I'm just warning you now, things are going to get even uglier in the next 10 years. And then he points out in the book as well that some of the worst times in Western civilization history was during the zenith of the we, which is what we're approaching. So we have to be a voice of reason through that all so we don't go too far. We have to make sure we don't go too far. I know it got real deep, but this book was on my mind. Everything I was saying was on my mind. And I always try to come up with solutions. And I'm curious what you think about that. If you agree or disagree. 407-916-5400. Text to 23680. I got a comment again that did exactly what I said would happen.
That's what they always do. When you talk me and we, they always fall right into it.
Lost respect for Glenn Beck. Wish 540 would drop him. And put Michael Yaffe. Oh, well, he wants to put Michael Yaffe in his place. I can't argue with that. but he made it about Glenn Beck. It says, who cares who said it? Trust me, he's not the only one who's read this. I'm telling you, Obama himself, his campaign, I'm sure they've read this. Hillary campaign chief, I guarantee you they've read this book.
And if not this specific book, they've seen this concept.
Well, yeah,
because studied the concept.
By the way, the guys who wrote the book, they do presentations across the country. They have a website, all that stuff. I'm sure they have. And so I would encourage everybody to read that. So Michelle Obama, do you think she'll run for office ever? 407-916-5400. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. We'll be right back.
Listen to the latest episodes of Beyond Reason. Download the podcast at Spreaker.com. Subscribe to the Beyond Reason podcast today on your Stitcher app and hear the voice of reason anytime.
Yes, this is the conscience in your ear, telling you the difference between right and wrong. I am your host, Michael Yaffe, the voice of reason in a world that is beyond reason. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I've been doing this show Fridays 7 to 9 p.m. on WFLA and, of course, at BeyondReasonRadio.com and the Beyond Reason Radio app. So I just got a text coming in, Paul, who has a different take on the whole me, we, or the me, us generation. Says, I think a lot of the internet is a me phenomenon. Facebook and Twitter are all about my 15 minutes of fame. What I think me, not we. I used to think that. And it kind of makes sense. Except when you think about it, it started kind of with MySpace. MySpace without me. MySpace failed. Facebook succeeded. Why are Facebook and Twitter not really about me? Because I really started thinking about this. They're not about your 15 minutes of fame. They are for some people. But it's about connecting with others. Being a part of the group.
And here's the other thing. It's that people can try to start out showing themselves their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
But the people who are successful on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are the people who share enough of their lives that other people feel like they are a part of their lives.
Yes.
And so now we all feel like we're one big collective group sharing this person's life.
Exactly. And that, and that's what happens with celebrities. But just think, and I mentioned this before, what were the popular hashtags in the past 10 years on Twitter? Can you name some, Paul? What were the popular hashtags? What's the big one that comes to mind?
Black Lives Matter.
What is Black Lives Matter all about?
It's a collective movement.
It is a
That's
group.
all it is.
It's exactly what it is. It is a group. You are a part of that group. Occupy Wall Street was the same thing. Feel the burn. It's not about an individual. Bernie Sanders' campaign was not about him. Donald Trump's campaign is not about him.
If you think about Black Twitter by itself, it's all about the collective.
Yeah, it's all about the collective. And in some reasons, I wish it wasn't that way because I tend to want us to think of each other as individuals. But you talk about the division with race right now. It's a collective thing. You're a part of a group. You're Black Lives Matter or you're Blue Lives Matter. You're Trump or you're Hillary. And you stay in these groups and it creates division, and it's going to happen for the next 10 years. So you have to have the right leaders who can use that mindset. And by the way, this is the millennial generation. This is my generation. So some of the older generation who grew up in the 60s, it's going to be very difficult for them to understand. Our generation, the millennial generation, we were born in the me generation. So we were born into the hype of the me generation. So we see through it. Our BS meters are up, and that gives us a different perspective. But our future kids will be a part of a me cycle. So
because
they will
everybody gets a trophy and everybody's so special and everybody's important.
Well, but see, that's part of that is because our parents did that to us because they were me's. So everybody's important. But if you talk to our generation, we don't look at it that way. We see through it. We're like, that means nothing anymore. All we care about is being a part of a specific group that helps. So I'm just that's just so because we're a part of the us generation, Paul pointed out that maybe I should not say we but us because we and me kind of sound similar. So that's what a good producer does. So thank you. But somebody, Michael, commented on Facebook again, and he said, "Smile for the viewers. Maybe wave at them. Connect." Okay. So hi. So I'm connect. So we have to connect because we're part of the us. We have to join the movement of Beyond Reason Radio because there is going to be a lot of noise out there. Trust me, in the next 10 years, there is going to be a ton of noise, and you're not going to know how to sift through it, and you're not going to know what's real. Come to this show for what's real. And by the way, this is me. You want to talk about being realistic. I'm real. There's not a lot of hype with me. It's just really not, unfortunately. So the first hour's already over. It's already done. We need to get more calls. 407-916-5400. You can text to 23680. You can also comment on Facebook Live. In the next hour, we have Michael. Now, he was out at the Obama rally, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he saw. You and I, Paul, watched some of that.
Yes.
Some of it. And he was all about the we.
Yeah, he was.
By the way.
Yes, he was.
We can't fall into the cynicism. You can't say this about women, or you can't do that. Go out and vote.
Do it now.
The collective, I'm telling you. But the other thing that's interesting is I think Hillary Clinton's going to use him more because they're worried about young turnout. Because young people are not excited about Hillary. So they're going to put Obama out there, and he's going to go and say, vote, 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 vote. And in your mind, you're not even really thinking about voting for Hillary. You're thinking you're voting for Obama again. That's what's happening.
Oh, if
Trust
they could
me.
vote for Obama again, he would win in a landslide.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Unfortunately. So
is it that he can't win a third term, or is it that he can't run for a third term?
He can't be president for a third term.
Well, I know he can't be president, but I just wonder if he actually, if he was able to throw his hat in the ring and get on the ticket, even though he can't actually take office. I wonder how many people would vote for him.
I don't want to stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it. All right. We're going to get some more of this. We're going to talk to Michael, and we're going to get into some Obamacare stuff in the next hour. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. We'll be right back. So Trump just came out today and said, "Oh, maybe the election is not as rigged as I thought." so
this guy, man.
Well, but how long until Hillary Clinton comes out and says it is rigged?
Well,
it's rigged against her.
Here's what I'm waiting for: a mysterious videotape gets released on Sunday.
Oh, jeez. Of what? Of Trump eating a baby or something?
Probably.
and then another WikiLeaks email will come out of Hillary talking to China about how they're just going to let them take over or something. Oh, man. Oh, this is not a recap of the House of Cards series or scandal. This is actual, real politics. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I am your host, Michael Yaffe, the voice of reason in a world that is beyond reason. So join us. And Michael Formisano, Mr. Michael Formisano, usually produces the show for me, but he actually is out, or was out, it's over now, was out at the Obama rally. And I thought we'd get him on the phone, and I'm sure he's still stuck in traffic probably because of the crazy traffic over by UCF. But Obama was at UCF. I watched some of it. And Michael, what is up, my friend?
All right, we actually have breaking news over here from UCF. Apparently a video has just been released of Donald Trump eating a baby.
Really? That just came out, huh?
This just came out.
Of course. All right.
You couldn't be more correct. I'm currently sitting in the greatest traffic that Alafaya can provide.
Are you really stuck in traffic?
A little bit, and the funny thing is I live right across the street from UCF. It's been taking me we're going on 20 minutes now.
Wow, that's funny.
But that's
of course
not
he's stuck in traffic.
The 40 minutes it took me just to get out of campus.
Oh my! I would have just stuck around for a while, gone to the student union or something.
There's worse things than being stuck on UCF campus. I can tell you that, my friend.
Are you talking about the eye candy? That is exactly. That is exactly
beautiful.
That is exactly
population.
You're talking about the beautiful campus, the trees,
of course,
and
I have to. I'm an alumni. Yeah.
So, oh, you're such a millennial, just like all of us. So, tell us a little bit about. By the way, there's a lot of worse things than being stuck in traffic and listening to Beyond Reason Radio.
Accurate.
While you're in your car. But tell us a little bit about what you saw at the rally.
Well, the rally, Mike, just for a second here, regardless of which side of the 50,000-watt front porch you like to camp, it is really, really something to see a man like Obama get a crowd as riled up as he does. He just knows what he's doing up there. There's no question about that.
Oh, of course. He's one of the best ever at that.
Now, you did touch on something earlier that I also have to agree with. This did seem a lot like an Obama rally than a Hillary Clinton rally.
Right?
All the students were chanting Obama, not Hillary.
Really?
They were screaming, "I love you, Obama," not Hillary.
Did they break out in "Yes, we can"? Yes, we can.
There was some "Yes, we can." Absolutely happened. 100%.
Wow. So how was it packed, by the way?
There was a good amount of people. I've been to a lot of things at the CFE Arena, and I wouldn't say this was the largest crowd I've seen out there, but it was a big crowd. There was people lined up for a while, just waiting to get in the building. and actually just to get tickets. So there was a good turnout, a lot of them students, but
Of
a
course.
lot of them not students, of course, as well. I even met I met this really lovely lady. She was all decked out in Donald Trump.
That's what I was going to ask. Was there Trump people?
There were a few, but the people that I personally met there, they were just they just wanted to really show that regardless of the fact that they're Republican versus Democrat, they support democracy, and I thought that was very inspiring.
Interesting. So, I mean, did they tell you that, or like what did they say?
Yeah, I had it. Like I said, I was stuck on campus for a while, so I had a few conversations. But yes, I'm to be honest, at first I thought they were going to be very defensive because it was obviously a Hillary Clinton rally.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they were there just to show the fact that we're regardless. And it's funny because she used this term. We actually are stronger together.
Yep, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
They were secretly there to see Obama. You know that, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It's possible, but regardless.
I think it's fascinating, though, that what you said, I think is exactly right, that they're more on fire for Obama than they are for Hillary.
Absolutely. They were cheering his name as soon as they allowed people to walk into the door.
I think it's the same way when Michelle's out, too. People love Michelle way more than they do Hillary.
Obama all he did was say Michelle and I, and the crowd went wild. He said Hillary's name a billion times tonight and didn't get as much of a reaction.
Really? I'm sure Tim Kaine would get even less.
This is not to say that they weren't, pumped for Hillary and still excited to vote for her, because there was a lot of excitement amongst the crowd to go out and vote actually tonight, because he was pushing it, voting tonight.
So he was pushing, vote now, how late are the polls open?
Not only did he say vote now, he told you where you can vote in Orange County and Seminole County.
I told you.
Really?
We got polls outside by the bus.
He gave the address to each one.
Now, why do you think he's doing that?
Because he wants them to leave all fired up and vote Hillary.
Exactly.
He wants them as soon as they can to get to the polls after seeing him tonight.
So they think of him and not Hillary when they vote. It's actually a smart political strategy on their part.
It is. It definitely is.
Because they know young people are not excited about Hillary. Now, did you talk to anyone who's already voted?
I did speak to a few people. Not as many because I was, fighting to get a good spot in the press area. But I did speak to a few people who had already voted, and they said it wasn't terrible over in the voting polls, but I'm not really sure.
Interesting. All right. I'm guessing Obama did not mention anything about the latest on the FBI and the emails.
No, they did not. Somebody else made a comment about it that was standing near me, which I thought was a little bit funny. But no, he definitely did not bring that up. He did mention that things aren't perfect in politics, and how even Michelle wasn't happy when Obama first went into politics. But, of course, he used that as a way to say this is a reason why we need Hillary, to kind of keep it clean, which was a little funny to me.
Well, just a little bit. All right, Mike, well, have fun driving home and all that traffic. And
I actually just made it, so thank you.
Oh, look at that. We hope the time go by. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. I appreciate it, and we'll catch you next week.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right, thanks. So a lot of it was pretty predictable. Exactly what we said.
I mean, yeah. Once you get Obama on stage, Obama can make a Trump supporter be like, no, wait, you're Obama, I hate you.
Yeah. Well, he's great. He's one of the best political speakers we've ever had. And it's funny, there's things I notice about how he speaks and everything that is genius in terms of speaking. Like, one thing I notice a lot at the State of the Union addresses he does, when the crowd starts cheering, he still continues and he speaks louder. So it's like pumping up the energy of the crowd that's pumping him up as he's pumping that. It's brilliant speaking.
Yep.
Because it takes away, some people, and even Trump gets caught in this, they speak.
And then they wait.
Yep. And there's that awkward silence, and you're waiting for them to stop and all that stuff. And it kills the energy of the moment.
Yeah. If you keep going while they're cheering and screaming and yelling, they will get more energized because now you're speaking louder and you have more energy to what you're saying. So they're getting more energized based off what you're saying, and you go and go and go and go and go.
It's really interesting. It's really noticed as someone who's in a industry where you speak. It's very clever. Hillary is not good at it.
No.
And unfortunately, when Hillary gets louder, it's shrill and it's not as good either. So they need Obama. I really think the Hillary Clinton campaign needs Obama. Now he mentioned Michelle Obama. And what's very interesting is Michelle Obama made a speech, against Trump and the whole woman thing, and it's been one of the most popular speeches ever this year. A lot of people, even on the right, liked the speech. It was a powerful speech. Not saying I really liked it, but she was on Obama was on a Sirius XM show, Sway in the Morning, and he was
a really good show, by the way.
I don't know anything about the show. I don't have Sirius XM. I have what's called a smartphone and tune in iHeartRadio. But he was asked, will Michelle Obama ever run for office? Now, you listen to Obama's response here, and you tell me if this is true or a bunch of BS. This is what he said.
She will never run for office. She is as talented and brilliant a person as there is, and I could not be prouder of her.
Yeah.
But Michelle does not have the patience or the inclination to actually be a candidate herself, and that's one thing y'all can take to the bank.
I'm not taking that to the bank because I think it's baloney. I think it's BS. I think it's bogus. There is no doubt in my mind that Michelle Obama is going to run for office one day.
Well, I think he's depending on Hillary winning. If Hillary wins, Michelle won't run. Because in 4 years, it will kind of be past time. And I can see in 4 years her wanting nothing to do with anything ever again for the rest of her life.
You're thinking president. Remember, Hillary started in the Senate.
Yeah.
I could see Michelle running for a lower office.
I don't know about that one. Only because I know that she, if you go based off what she said in the past, she values her twilight years. And so she's looking forward to the day when the kids are out the house.
But when people are clamoring for you to
you're
run,
right about that.
When people are saying, you got to run, we need you, Chicago or Illinois, we need you to be a senator, you would win automatically. You could speak and give your positions, and then Obama will be in Washington again? I don't know.
Hillary had to take that route, though. I think Michelle could go straight to the presidency. I don't think she has to go to Senate.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a possibility of that, too. And then it's like I was watching The Simpsons last week, and he wore a Ivanka Trump sticker. It was like Ivanka Trump 2028 or something like that.
Well, I told you what the bumper sticker said, right?
No.
It said Hillary 2016, Michelle 2020, Chelsea 2024, Malia 2028. What's the other one?
Ivanka?
No, the other kid, Obama's other child.
Obama's other child?
Yeah.
Or you mean Trump's other child?
No, Obama's other child. He's got Malia and Sasha.
Oh.
Sasha 2032.
Oh. It was just funny because Homer Simpson on the episode was like, yeah, because we always do everything's way too far in advance or something like some comment like that. But it was great. So do you think that Michelle Obama would run? You can comment on Facebook. You can text at 23680. You can call 407-916-5400. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. We'll be right back.
Download the iHeartRadio app and catch the Beyond Reason Radio podcast.
This is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. We do this show every Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. So Donald Trump made some news today. You know, that's the understatement of the day. He's always making news. But this was actually kind of underreported. But to me, it's a big deal. We talked about it a little on the morning show, but I had to look more into it, do more research on it. And there's good and bad in this for Trump. Trump has a new plan, and whether it was all him or someone else, who knows? But he has a new plan for infrastructure spending. Now, he had come out before and say that he was going to double the amount that Hillary wants to spend on infrastructure. Hillary is calling for $275 billion in direct government spending over 5 years, plus another $225 billion in private investment. Trump came out with a plan today. His plan is $1 trillion on infrastructure spending. Now, when I first heard this, I'm like, this is terrible. I don't think the government has $1 trillion to spend on infrastructure. But there's a little bit more to this, which is interesting. His plan would rely heavily on private funding. Okay, so that sounds good, especially if you're a free market guy. But here is the big but here. Here is the big caveat here. Here is what makes me cringe a little bit here. Trump's plan will rely heavily on private funding, with the government encouraging investment through a tax credit that would raise the return to investors and lower the cost of borrowing to states and municipalities, that would oversee the projects. Unlike Clinton's plan, there would be no need for new taxes to finance spending. Tax credits would cost the government some money, but not all of the money. But taxes, they say, taxes collected from the workers and companies participating in such projects would offset the costs, according to Navarro and Ross, who were part of Trump's campaign coming out with his plan. So basically what this is he comes out, it's $1 trillion plan. He's saying this is going to be private funded through private investment. But to encourage that private investment, he wants to add a tax credit. In fact, the tax credit, let me see here. I believe, here we go, under Trump's plan, the federal government would offer an 82% tax credit on the equity investment, sharply reduce the risk to investors. Now, remember what a tax credit is. This isn't a tax cut. This is still the government giving them money. So they spend it, and then the government gives them money. He is saying that, well, this will be paid for because you'll get the revenue in from the new jobs created. You'll get the revenue in from the investment because the investment will be taxed and all that. On its surface, by the way, they're saying that it would include the tax credit would apply only to projects with a dedicated source of revenue that attract private investment. So it would be toll roads, airports, utilities, all that stuff. Now, by the way, a lot of airports in Europe that are really good are privately funded. So privately funded airports, I'm not against that because sometimes they can do a lot better than government-run airports. Now, Trump is saying he doesn't favor toll roads, saying it's a state-by-state decision. And roads tend to be easier for states to finance through traditional means than complex or multi-state projects, yada, yada, yada. On the surface, I'll say this. This plan is better than Hillary's plan because Hillary's plan is to raise taxes and just have the government spend it. That always encourages waste and so forth. This is privately funded, but through the back door, it's government funded, which is why I have a lot of problems with this. Now, they're saying this is the perfect time to invest because with interest rates so low, this has got to be the best time for a break-even point of view from a societal point of view, saying so interest rates are so low, it wouldn't cost a lot of money to borrow and invest all that stuff. Of course, if interest rates are really low, I don't know if you're going to make as much off the investment either. But my biggest problem with all of this, and maybe you can agree or disagree with this, is I don't buy in to this whole thing that we have to create jobs with infrastructure spending. That's such a 1930s or even 1950s point of view. To say that if we spend on all this infrastructure, that all of a sudden it's going to revive the economy, is just something I don't buy into. That's a Democrat line. It's lines Democrats have been using for years. We supposedly spent $1 trillion on infrastructure stuff in 2009 under Obama, under the so-called stimulus package then. Now, it's a big thing because if you're Trump or you're Hillary, you're going to come out and you're going to say, I'm going to create jobs. And you're going to say you create jobs by digging ditches, basically. You've heard that saying, you can pay people to dig ditches. But is it going to really spur the economy and economic growth? Is infrastructure spending really going to do that? I'm extremely skeptical of that. And, you know, I have another story here from the Conservative Review that's very interesting. It talks about how self-driving cars.
Yay.
We're very excited about the self-driving cars. Every time I'm on the road, I think, and I see some stupid driver out there cutting somebody off or doing something stupid, I'm like, are self-driving cars here yet?
Self-driving cars,
really?
Man. That's what we need.
That it is. But you think about that with self-driving cars, and it could kill a lot of this infrastructure that we so-called want to spend. It was talking about how self-driving cars, self-driving drones, all this stuff, driverless cars, it could kill mass transportation. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. See, it's stuff like Uber, stuff like self-driving cars, stuff like drones. That's going to be what spurs economic growth in this country. It's going to do it in a different way than the past, yes. But that's going to be what spurs economic growth. So we keep talking about infrastructure. Are we spending on the right kind of infrastructure? That's the other question. Or are we spending on the infrastructure of the past, like trains? It talks about here, it's a great piece in the Conservative Review, that they want to spend on high-speed rail and subways and all this stuff. But is that, for one, is environmentally friendly? It's actually not. And is it futuristic?
I've always been a proponent for high-speed rail, but they've got to find out a way to keep it cheap. That's the only problem with high-speed rail.
Well, it costs money.
Yeah.
And you have to be dependent on people riding it.
Well, and that's what I mean is the cost for the consumer. You know what I'm saying? If it's going to cost me $80 to get to Atlanta, I can take a flight to Atlanta for $80.
And that's the thing. It has a problem of working in this country because we drive and we fly.
Yeah.
You know, we say, well, Europe, we want to be like Europe. Europe has all this high-speed rail and stuff. Well, Europe's a different system. For one, the roads are not as good.
And they don't drive like we do.
They don't drive because gas is higher. The roads are not as good. And you're going from different country to different country.
And they don't have suburban sprawl like we do either.
Exactly. It's just different. So we try to say, oh, we need high-speed rail. We need to make it more like Europe. But we're not Europe. But what could work is things like driverless cars, is things like drones. They're talking about driverless drones that will be able to, drone taxis that will be able to, this stuff's coming. Plus, we like to fly. Now, it gives an example here in the Conservative View. Amtrak is an egregious example of government waste. It's continually having to be bailed out by taxpayers, with Joe Biden committing another $2.45 billion in loans this year. It's coming out of the Obama administration. The fact that these systems are unable to turn a profit should tell you something both about their popularity and about the absurdity high infrastructure costs of maintaining them. See, the money will be there. If the economy grows and we spur economic growth the way it should be spurred, the money will be there in the states to spend on infrastructure. It will be there, but we have to spur economic growth first. To say that infrastructure spending will spur economic growth is something that I just don't buy into. But we'll see. By the way, you talk about, Paul, you're talking about how it's not costly for the consumer. It's not cost prohibitive for the consumer. Well, the only way to make it cost prohibitive for the consumer is for the government to run it and basically subsidize it.
Pretty much.
So the only way it's going to work. So if you have more of this high-speed rail and all this stuff, it's going to be funded by the government.
Right.
So you have to decide if that's what you want.
Because that's the only way it works anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's the only way it works anywhere else. They're
Exactly.
going to try it to go on. I mean, and it's a great idea, you know, a line that connects from Miami to Orlando, Orlando to Atlanta, Atlanta to Charlotte, Charlotte to D.C., D.C. to Boston, Boston to New York. It's a great idea, but the only way it's ever worked is if it's funded by the government.
And see, and there's another thing. We talk about trains or whatever. The Superloop, the high-speed Superloop that, you know, Bezos, I think, and Tesla have been
yes.
Not Tesla, but
I know what you mean.
What's his name?
Elon Musk.
Musk, thank you. Musk, they've been talking about. They've been talking about the high-speed Superloop. What is that? That's a new high-speed train on magnets that would be in a loop that you could get from one side of the country to the other in 30 minutes.
Yes. Yes.
That's coming in the future. So we're going to spend all this money on these so-called high-speed trains that are not really high-speed, that no one's going to ride, and they have to be government funded.
That's the other problem, is they're not really moving that fast.
Yeah, no.
Like if you're going to give me a high speed, like the one they were talking about going from here to Miami, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, you can get to Miami in 3 hours. I was like, I can drive and get to Miami
exactly.
in 3 hours. Why would I take a train to get to Miami? Now, if you're telling me I can get to Miami in an hour and a half,
right,
and it cost me $50, now we're talking about something, because I can get up in the morning, take the earliest train, spend the day in Miami, and I only have to wait an hour and a half to get back.
Exactly.
But if it's going to take me the same amount of time to get there on the train as I will to drive, and when I get to Miami, I can drive all around the place, because that's one thing about Florida is you're going to have transportation when you get there.
Yep.
There is no, I'll just grab a cab. It's not New York. You're not grabbing a cab for cheap.
Uber will make it easier.
It will, but it's still not quite as cheap as it would be someplace else.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because it's just how Florida is.
Yeah, Florida's set up really bad.
But we have really good roads because of that, because we keep up our roads better because people drive.
Right.
And that's important. Now we have too many toll roads, too. That's a whole nother subject.
That's an Orlando thing, though.
Yeah, that is more of an Orlando thing than a Florida thing. You're right. But I just smell a rat. When any politician comes out and says, I'm going to spend all this on infrastructure, I immediately smell a rat.
Well, here's the thing about infrastructure spending, and this is why government and politicians on both sides, Republican and Democrat and independent, one of the main reasons they love infrastructure spending so much is because it's a perfect place to hide money.
Oh, yeah.
It is such a great place to hide money.
It is the easiest way
to
hide money, because they can... I mean, what do you come out and you say, well, they're wasting a lot of money here. And it's like, whoa, what do you want us not to build this road?
That's right.
What do you want this road to not be finished? And then the politician, when it's done, can come out. You know, John Micah, when this I-4 project's done.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be in front of that.
Right in the middle of I-4.
Look at all this.
Yeah.
The middle of I-4.
Even though it's 20 years too late, he's going to stand right in the middle of I-4.
Exactly. So I just smell a rat. I think there's going to be a lot of government waste in this. I don't think it's going to be what's needed to spur the economy.
I remember seeing bus stops that had stickers on the back of them that said, paid for by the stimulus package.
Yeah, a bus stop.
Yeah.
And bike ramps.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
Did we honestly think that was going to stimulate the economy?
Shovel ready.
It's just not how economics works. It's not how economics works. So we'll talk about that. Bunch of Obamacare things to get to. So we'll get to that and talk about this. You can call 407-916-5400. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. We'll be right back.
If you like Beyond Reason Radio, well, make sure to show it by liking the Facebook page at facebook.com/Beyond Reason Radio. You can now listen to the voice of the millennial generation on Podbean. Download the app or go to beyondreasonradio.podbean.com.
Oh, what is more beyond reason than what has been going on in politics and presidential politics? How much longer do we have, Paul, until this is finally over?
Well, according to Fox News, every 12 minutes. We have 11 days left.
Oh, okay. Good. I'm glad they keep reminding us of what that is. Of course, even after the election, it will not be over.
No, it's not going to be over.
You know why? Because if Trump loses, he will go to Trump TV, and that will be all promoted. It's already happening.
Oh, yeah. I wish
way.
I could start a TV network as fast as he did.
Yes.
Jeez, man.
Exactly.
And it's funny to me how progressive and in tune with technology and today's society that they are with that when they're so antiquated and old with their campaign in general.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the one thing he got right was using social media. But...
Yeah, he throws it on Facebook Live and bang, they're moving in seconds.
Yep. Yeah. I think a lot of that's his kids, but that's just my opinion. And then if Hillary wins, you're going to have the investigations with the emails still going.
Yeah, buddy.
You're going to have impeachment proceedings. You're going to have blocking her Supreme Court nominees.
Yep.
Now, if Trump wins, you're going to have more of just everything with Trump.
Don't forget, no matter who wins, America burns the next day.
It burns?
Yes, the country is burned to the ground the next day.
Burned to the ground.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I've been told.
Okay.
I've been told if Hillary wins,
yes.
it's the end of our nation. Our country will be destroyed.
Yes.
She will go to the Smithsonian, pull out the Constitution, flick a lighter, and
It's
light
in
it
the
on
archives,
fire.
but yes.
Yeah, light it on fire right there in front of everybody. That's what I've been told she's going to do. And if Trump wins, then, he'll have ships waiting at the docks to send all the black people back to Africa and hauling up all the Mexican people to send them back to Mexico.
You actually bring up something that I want to bring up that I haven't brought up yet. One reason I am still voting for Trump, even though I've been skeptical of him, is I'm tired. And I know this is happening on both sides, okay? But I am so tired of the whole, if Trump wins, it's the end of America. It's dictatorship. He's the next Hitler. He is going to round up all that stuff.
Dude, we've had so many Hitlers in the past, 16 years?
I am so tired. I'm critical of the guy, okay?
George W. Bush was Hitler.
But
Obama was a black Hitler, which is really weird.
It's just,
I don't know how you get a black Hitler, but he
I
was.
don't.
And then don't forget Hillary.
Yeah, Hillary. But it's just, I have people say if Trump wins, how can, you're a conservative, but if you vote for Trump, that's straight to dictatorship. No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not going to be like that. For one, there will still be conservatives in the Senate. I'm still going to promote constitutional amendments. It is not the end of the country.
Well, it's like
if
you
Trump's
said,
going to win. I'm not voting for Hitler.
It's like you said earlier. Neither person gets elected causes a revolutionary war in America.
No,
it's just not going to happen.
We're not there.
People say, just like when we had this conversation a few weeks ago, and people were like, if Hillary gets elected, the Second Amendment will get ripped out of the Constitution. I'm like, you can't do that in 4 years. Like, you just can't. Not at the space that we are right now.
Now, and I've said why I'm voting for Trump. The main reasons is, yes, elections do have consequences. I'm not saying elections don't have consequences. There are big deals that can make it different. For me, it's energy exploration. We've got to open up federal lands. We've got to get more energy production. It's the fastest way to pay off the debt. It is the fastest way to spur economic growth. We got to do it. He has economic advisors that want to do that. I don't see him going against that. That's a big deal. The Supreme Court is obviously a big deal to me as well. The Second Amendment is a big deal to me. There's no doubt Trump's more pro-Second Amendment than Hillary. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But I have Democrats on the side telling me if Trump wins, it's the end of America. And then, of course, you have on the other side, you have if Hillary wins, it's the end. I'm not there. But like I explained in the first hour, this is where we are. We are part of that part in the we generation, the us generation.
Evan McMullin.
It's see. That's another thing that could happen when you talk about is it actually over 11 days?
Yeah, 11 days. They just showed it again. It's 11 days.
It could be where neither of them gets enough electoral votes.
Wouldn't that be great? And now the House of Representatives is forced to pick the president.
So the campaign would continue on even after 11 days. And then you would definitely...
Because the new campaign is call your congressman.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the stamina for this, Paul. I just don't.
So, okay, your prediction,
know.
though. Your prediction. Let's just say it goes to the House of Representatives. Who wins?
That is a hard prediction to do.
Yeah.
Because...
You're going to see who's really a conservative if that happens.
Well, here's the thing, though. Politically, it would be very difficult for any Republican that's voting on this to vote against Trump because you would get backlash because this is against democracy.
What if you vote Evan?
You would still get backlash from the Trump people because Evan didn't win. He didn't win the popular vote. This is against democracy. But there's a lot of people in this country who do not like either candidate.
That's right.
So there is a little bit of influence there to vote for Evan McMullin, and it could be good for you politically as well. Now,
is there any way we could just start over? Can we just start over from here?
You want to start this mess over?
I want to
start all this mess over?
A 1 week primary, right? A 1 week. We get 7 days for a primary. After that 7 days, we pick whoever's going to win that primary in 7 days, and then you get 4 days to campaign for the election in 11 days.
Who wins?
Whoever comes out of the primary and then gets the popular vote and the electoral votes.
Here's the thing I wish we did in primaries. We need runoffs in the primaries.
Yes.
Because nobody should win with 35% of the vote.
And I think we should also get rid of winner-take-alls.
Winner, you mean divided up in the states or whatever?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, even when there's certain states where if you win the majority of that state, you take all of the delegates for that state. You know what I mean? And I think we should get rid of winner-take-alls. But that's really more of a question of getting rid of the two-party system because these are two private entities that have decided these are the people they want to put forward to America for the presidential race. These are not the quote-unquote official choices.
And can I tell you, this is another problem we have. There's just not enough people voting in the primaries.
No, not nearly enough people.
So we have a lot of people out there. They don't really pay attention to the primaries. They don't vote in the primaries. And then they're upset at our two candidates. And I'm telling them, well, then vote in the primaries. Pay more attention.
No.
Yeah, I know that's not going to happen. But so
unless we did the primaries all on one day, like we do the national election.
Can I tell you there's a part of me that would be for that as well.
Yeah.
I
think
of
going from state to state to state over the course of 6 to 8 months, primary day for every state in the nation for the Democratic Party is on this day.
And what I think we should do with the primaries is do a 1 day thing much later than, when it starts now.
Right.
And also have a runoff. So you have one where you have all of the candidates.
Yep.
Whoever the top 3 of those, then they do a runoff election nationwide, but all these are nationwide.
Yep.
Where they do a runoff, and then whoever wins, that wins. I would be much more for that. The reason why they don't do that is a lot of it has to do with the candidates like the way it is.
The candidates like the way it is, and don't forget about the money.
And the money.
There's a whole lot of money involved in taking 8 months and traveling to every state in the country and printing banners and printing signs and printing buttons and feeding people and traveling and all. There's just a ton of money in it, man.
Well, and it's easier for the candidates as well to spend money in Iowa and spend tons of money in Iowa. It becomes much more difficult for them to spend money nationwide.
Right.
So then you have the whole question, does that put more money? You have to be rich to be in the politics.
But you already have to be rich. It costs $1 billion to run for president already.
I know.
So
it's great. Although Trump's kind of throwing a lot of that out the window because he didn't spend a lot of money.
No, he didn't spend a lot of money.
He spent a lot of money traveling and all that stuff with his own money, which makes it difficult as well. So,
and he only loaned that money to his campaign. He's going to get it back. So it's not like he really spent it anyway.
This is a good point. Okay, I have been promising to talk about Obamacare, and I haven't talked about Obamacare, so I just want to get this out real quick before we take a break because I thought this soundbite was amazing. Cheryl Atkinson interviewed Robert Lazowski. I don't think I spelled that right. But he is a policy, I don't think I said that right, but he is a policy advisor and analyst for the health insurance industry. He correctly predicted Obamacare's pitfalls since day one. During the interview, he said something that was very interesting. By the way, Cheryl Atkinson is one of the best journalists out there, I think. She's amazing. But he was asked about Obamacare. This was the advice he gave to Obama and the Democrats. Could you possibly... There should be an audio cut on this up there, I think. No, what I think... forget what I labeled it as. Yeah, play that audio cut. This was the advice he gave Obama and the Democrats on Obamacare, which I thought was brilliant. This is what he said.
What? I told them not to call this the Affordable Care Act.
You told who?
The Obama administration, the Democrats, every Democrat I could find.
I told him not to call this the Affordable Care Act. Why? Because it's not affordable. Could have called it anything else. So actually, there's a part of me that thinks us calling it Obamacare might have been a mistake. Because the Affordable Care Act, saying the Affordable Care Act, and people say it's not affordable, that could have been more damaging in the long run. Just saying. Thought that was very interesting. So I have a story in the last segment of the show that left me flabbergasted. Got to end the show with stories so beyond reason that leave me flabbergasted that Paul is just going to love.
Yeah,
you're just going to love this story. This is Beyond Reason Radio. We'll get to that next.
Subscribe to the Beyond Reason podcast today on your Stitcher app and hear the voice of reason anytime. You know what's Beyond Reason? Yappy is now on YouTube. Go to YouTube now and just search Beyond Reason Radio.
It is that time of the show to end the show with stories so beyond reason they left me flabbergasted. Just because I like to say that word. Now, this is going to leave Paul flabbergasted. I cannot wait to see his reaction to this story. Okay. Well, let me just start with a headline here. You ready? You ready for this?
I probably not, but let's find out.
New sexual identity discovered.
Oh, God. Wait, what?
New sexual identity discovered.
How could that be possible? It's already LGBTQHYLMNOP.
Well, you got to add the M. You said M there. Wait till I get to this M.
Oh, gosh.
What could M mean? The ever-expanding list from potential sexual identities, I got this from the Daily Wire, by the way, has just grown one identity more complex. Macrosexual. Macrosexual.
Is that just like to have sex with everything?
No. I was going to ask what you think it is. You'll never guess what this is. It is those attracted to giants.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I'm not kidding.
Really? Really? You are loving this, aren't you?
It's just this stuff. It's sad and scary in a lot of ways, but it's so ridiculous.
It is extremely ridiculous.
That it just makes me laugh because we've just gotten into the realm of ridiculous with this stuff.
Seriously?
Reaction. Oh, wait till I read more here. Macrophilia appears to be an increasingly popular sexual paraphilia in which individuals derive sexual arousal from a fascination with giants or a sexual fantasy involving giants. That is from a book called The Beginner's Guide to Macrophilia. So the macrosexual. Those who identify as macrosexuals don't simply face a society that fails to understand or recognize the legitimacy of their sexual needs. They face discrimination. This line is great. Sorry. They face discrimination by reality itself. because, giants don't exist.
Oh, my God. This is what I've got for you, Mike.
Really? 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 Really?
Oh, my gosh.
Really?
Oh, man. The actual physical condition of giantism, they want a skyscraper.
You got to finish this show yourself. I'm done.
There's so much more. That's because many macrosexuals don't desire simply a larger partner or people suffering from the actual physical condition of giantism. They want skyscraper tall giants straight out of the fantasy section of the used bookstore.
Are you serious right now?
Yes. This is legitimate. There's actually a book about this out there.
This is just...
Such fantasies may include the macrophiles themselves shrinking in front of a normal-sized person, male or female. Alternatively, macrophilias may fantasize about their sexual partner growing to an abnormal height, while the macrophiles themselves remain unchanged.
You recognize I'm not paying you any attention right now, right? I'm not paying you any attention right now.
The reason that
macrophiles, really?
Macrosexuals. Look, they have rights. They have rights, Paul. They need to be legitimized. We have to add M to the LGBTQM. Don't take off your headphones. Tell where you're going. The reason this particular paraphilia has increased massively over the last decade is because the internet has played a crucial role in helping create and facilitate the paraphilia. So apparently it's big on the internet.
Thanks, Al Gore. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you invented this, Al Gore. Thanks. I'm like tearing up. This is so funny to me. This is so... just
Dude.
When you think things cannot be beyond reason.
The sad part is now I know. Yeah. I was so much better being ignorant to this ignorance.
It's
but
out.
Now I know.
It's going to be out there.
Oh.
It's going to be out there.
Oh.
Though the vast majority of macrosexuality is confined to fantasy realm, Griffiths, who wrote that book on macrophilia, knows that the real-world giant sex does take place via extraordinarily tall women, referred to as the Amazons.
I'm going to tell somebody about this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be like, have you heard about the macro? You have totally ruined this, Mike.
Yes, I have.
It
left you flabbergasted. I knew.
This is ridiculous.
I knew it would. What's funny is on the article as well, they have like pictures from the 50s.
Not pictures, no.
Of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Oh, my God.
People are getting turned on by that movie. When they watch that old movie, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, they're actually around.
Is this your way of telling me a secret, Mike? Is this your way of coming out of
coming
out of the very, very large closet?
I think Trump might be one because he likes things huge. But
goes with his tiny hands.
I tend to like girls that are shorter than me. Just see.
Oh, okay.
The show's almost over. To your delight, Paul. To your delight.
Crazy.
This has been Beyond Reason Radio. I thank you all for joining me today. Thought we'd end with a little bit of fun, a little bit of craziness in this Beyond Reason world. By the way, you can catch the podcast at BeyondReasonRadio.com. Oh, yeah. I have like a whole another minute. So maybe...
Don't talk about this for another minute. I know that much.
No, I need to pull up a Bible verse if I can get it in time.
Yes. Tell the people something that's going to, that you can.
It's the Bible verse I always read, and I should just have it memorized.
Yeah, you should.
But
kind of terrible person are you?
I'm a part of the millennial generation.
Yeah, you got to wait. You got to find it on your phone.
Yeah.
Where's your Bible with highlighter marks?
All right, here it is. Finally, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely. So don't think about macrosexuals, whatever is of good repute. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, dwell on these things. And the God of peace will be with you. Try to think about some good heavenly things over the weekend. I didn't help with that, but this is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffe. I'll catch you guys next time.